And what a great shot that is. And to the right-hand side of your picture, you can see the whole setup here for Finale Mondiale, a real celebration of everything that's great and good about Ferrari. The Hublot safety car then is lined up, ready to lead these cars away on their rolling lap for their 30-minute race. And let's take a look at just a few of the highlights of Monza here in Italy. Well, more a celebration of what a phenomenal season we've had. And we are here at Monza. First race then, North America. A big, big grid of cars. That mix of Trofeo Pirelli drivers and Shell drivers. And both of them split between Pro drivers and AM drivers as well. So there is Cooper McNeil then, who goes from P1 on the grid. If I'm honest, I'm not really surprised. Representing Ferrari of Beverly Hills, Cooper McNeil is one very, very quick racing driver indeed, and has proved his pace by putting the car on pole position. Alongside him, it's going to be Thomas Tipple. I spoke to Thomas during a press conference yesterday, and he comes here buoyed with confidence. Will he be able to get Cooper McNeil going into the first turn, the Variante del Rettifio chicane? Well, we will find out when the rolling lap is about to get underway. We are, I guess, about 10 minutes or so away from that. So Thomas Tipple then for Ferrari of Beverly Hills. As I say, I spoke to Thomas in the press conference yesterday. He has put together a very strong lap indeed and goes from P2 on the grid. Going from P3, it's Benjamin Heights in the 233 car. And there, in support, is Stefano Guy from Rosso Corsa, advising Benjamin Heights here in Monza. The Monza track has remained the only true temple of speed in Europe. Long, 5,793 meters, characterized by 4 curves, 2 chicanes and 1 system of S's. Now, when the driver reaches the first chicane, he usually jumps over the curves to find the fastest trajectory. For this reason, the work of the suspension of the 488 Challenge is crucial. The tyre remains adherent to the track, thus maximizing grip, encouraging drivability and driving precision in the most technical and difficult sections. And one of the characteristics of Monza are the hard braking areas. Now, the 488 Challenge's carbo-ceramic discs are able to reach 600 degrees temperature. That ensures a high braking power and an excellent sensitivity in those sections with the greatest deceleration. The circuit makes it possible to obtain very high average speeds, and this is why power plays a key role. The Ferrari 488 V8 engine with double turbo here finds the best conditions to express full torque and power, something that have always been one of the distinctive values of the Ferrari 488 Challenge. So as our heli then reveals the extent of this wonderful circuit, and the North American racers ready to do battle. Cooper McNeil goes from pole position, 8 wins so far in 2018, runner-up in 2017. Now, he's got a 30-point advantage over Peter Ludwig, who has won 3 times. And it's Peter Ludwig for the wide world of Ferrari that we look at now. Incidentally, the only winner apart from McNeil and Ludwig is Benjamin Heights. McNeil has just won Petit Le Mans, of course, in the IMSA GTD class with the 488 GT3 of Scuderia Corsa. So the Hublot safety car then, and the long stretch of straight which takes you to the first chicane here at Monza. Finale Mondiale 2018. You're very welcome to join us. The first race will be for the cars of North America. That mix of Pro, Trofeo Pirelli drivers, AM Trofeo Pirelli drivers, Shell drivers, and of course pros and AMs as well, as we look at the car of Angie of Ferrari of Beverly Hills. So the starting grid for race one then, Cooper McNeil, Thomas Tipple, then it's Benjamin Heitz and Peter Ludwig. Angie goes from P5 on the grid. James Wayland, who has raced in North American Series, Asia Pacific and Europe as well. Then it's Rotlander, Choust, Boyd, Cagnazzi, Jean-Claude Sada, Katichis for Miller Motor Cars. And then it's Mark Musso, Fuller, Seldorf, Hodes, Megru and Carell then all the way through to row 9, and as we continue we see Simon, Kameneski, Milstein, Palermo, Smith, Giovannis. And we're not done yet, because the rows continue with Brooke, Carver, Heggie, Camp, Peresquire and Varwig rounding out this huge grid. Alongside me, delighted to welcome into the comms booth long-standing associate and supporter of mine, Nico Spalek. Good afternoon. North American race, I tell you what, the tension and the butterflies in the stomach are beginning to build.
Good afternoon. Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be an amazing race. 30 cars on the grid. That will make for a lot of action, a lot of drama, a lot of challenges all across the 4 categories, who are 3 of them still to be decided.
Indeed. In Trofeo Pirelli AM, there are 4 drivers still in contention. In Copa Shell AM, 3 drivers in contention. And the Hublot safety car are about to lead the cars away. I know you're going to keep very much an eye on the timing screen and on the point situation as well, and grateful to you for that. But what I must say in overall, first of all, is the North American drivers arrive here in Monza, this temple of speed, and they're greeted, if I may say, all weekend long with very un-Italian weather, as we see all the social media at the top of the screen, because yesterday and today absolutely, forgive me Thomas Tipple, tippled down.
Yeah, it was really raining, and you can still see that there are slightly wet stretches on that tarmac here. It hasn't been a big problem in qualifying, to be fair, so we don't expect that to be an issue on the track. Once you hit the wrong side of a curb, a place that hasn't been swept dry by the drivers before, watch out, that could be an issue.
You're absolutely right. I think the moment you go offline or even further offline, you are in trouble. So we zoom in then on the cars then as they make their way around this Monza circuit. There's James Wayland then. Now, I mentioned that he's raced in every single series of the Ferrari Challenge, both North America and Asia Pacific, and also in Europe as well, and has made 2, I think, European appearances this year. Certainly Barcelona, and if I'm not mistaken, Silverstone as well. A real Ferrari Challenge fanatic and a very, very good racing driver as well. To round up then, North America, Trofeo Pirelli, Cooper McNeil. He is the dominant driver with a 30-point advantage over Peter Ludwig, who of course is going from P4 on the grid. The only other winner in Trofeo Pirelli has been Benjamin Heitz, who incidentally goes from P3 on the grid. McNeil, of course, having just won the Petit Le Mans. And in Trofeo Pirelli AM, there are 4 drivers still in contention. Rob Hodes with 2 wins. Ross Choust with 3 wins. Murray Rutlander with 2 wins. And John Boyd with 2 wins as well. And the points difference, 159 down to 122 across those 4 drivers. Copa Shell, Thomas Tipple. Well, he dominated the championship. Copa Shell AM, though, there are still 3 drivers in contention. Jean Megru with 6 wins so far. Kevin Milstein, 1 win at Watkins Glen, and Dale Katichis with 6 podiums, but no wins. Will Dale be able to change that this weekend here? So you can see the cars all champing at the bit behind the Hublot safety car, ready to get going on this phenomenal circuit. So they all form up into grid formation for the rolling lap here at Monza, this 5.793 kilometer circuit. And you can see Cooper McNeil is almost overtaking the safety car. Such is his desire to get going in this race. Stand by, the music will build the anticipation for race 1 of the Finale Mondiale. It was a great qualifying performance from Thomas Tipple, the Shell driver, to put it P2 on the grid. But Cooper McNeil gets the blistering start we thought he would. So Thomas Tipple remains in that P2 position. Then it's Benjamin Heitz and Peter Ludwig who are arguing going into the first bend. It's the first chicane, and James Wayland has made a brilliant start as all else is creeping up behind, with various cars making contact there, going through the gravel, and certainly different routes through that chicane, getting very, very sideways, chucking a load of gravel all over the track. That's really going to compromise all the cars behind him. That's Rotlander, and Rotlander is on the grass. It's going to be a retirement.
As is AMG, and I think the two had it coming together. Rotlander, actually, the car lifted off the track for a moment there in the braking zone.
Yes. Stefano Guy looks on. Let's see it in replay here. Well, Rotlander was going for the inside, wasn't he? You're right, he gets airborne. He gets airborne right on the side of Angie's car.
Oh, what a terrible way to start that and end that race, unfortunately. Oh, what drama here already in the first turn, and then obviously behind them, lots of other cars. It's always a pinch point, this turn 1.
And of course, they're all taking evasive action, aren't they, to try and avoid. I have to say, a brilliant start from James Wayland. He finds himself in P5 in the race overall at the moment. There is his car number 218. Behind him is Ross Schaust. But it is Cooper McNeil that's leading already by 1.1 seconds over Thomas Tipple, who's the quickest of the Shell drivers. Then it's Benjamin Heitz and Peter Ludwig occupying the top 4 places currently. So Cooper McNeil then, behind the paddock then, down towards the curve of Barabolica, is beginning to stretch his legs, and there you can see Angie just looking at the state of the car, and Rotlander as well. That car is, well, those cars definitely are very, very sadly out of the race. Here comes Cooper McNeil then to break the timing beam and put the first lap in the book with a margin of 1.3 seconds over Thomas Tipple. Then it's Benjamin Heitz and Peter Ludwig. James Wayland, as I mentioned, who's in that P5 position, who really is beginning to chase down that number 225 car of Ross Schaust, the Ferrari of Palm Beach driver. So, as I mentioned, Cooper McNeil comes here then off the success he's had, not only in the Ferrari Challenge, but also in the Petit Le Mans as well. Having just won that, he's buoyed with confidence, and you can see that almost in his race pace around this Monza circuit. So, looking further down the order then, and as Nico said, some 30 cars started this race. Regrettably, ain't going to be the same number that finish, because we've seen 2 cars out already. The incident involving those 2 cars in turn 1 is going to be investigated after the race, and their confirmation of that from race control on screen for you now. So these magnificent 488 cars really unleashing the enormous amount of power they have here on this Monza circuit. So Thomas Tipple then in car number 321, the Shell driver, doing a very good job, having dominated the championship this year. And you can see why, Nico. You look at his racecraft. I mean, he's 1.5 seconds behind Cooper McNeil, but Thomas Tipple, for a Shell driver, doing a very, very good job indeed.
Absolutely. I mean, when you look at the Ferrari challenge cars, those 488 challenges, they're almost impeccable racing machines. You could question whether Thomas Tipple is impeccably placed in that class.
I agree.
Because he is mixing it up with the Pirelli pros, so he is certainly there, and his pace is magnificent.
And, you know, Cooper McNeil, we've spoken about in years previously in Finale Mondiale, which is the opportunity, of course, we get to see him, is such a good driver. So, here a challenge going into the... we just cut away from that. I wonder whether there was going to be an attempt there going for the inside. Cooper McNeil sets the fastest lap, a 1:52 to 1:52.018 for Cooper McNeil, which maintains his 1.5 second margin over Thomas Tipple, who incidentally has just done the fastest first sector of anyone, although that's just been beaten by Benjamin Heights, who's gone quicker in the 211 car. Sorry, in the 233 car that we focused on then. There it is, and there is Peter Ludwig, not being chased quite as vigorously now by James Wayland, who's dropping down just a bit, and I just wonder whether he will come under some pressure from the Trofeo Pirelli AM driver, Ross Schaust, in just a moment. And then Jean-Claude Sada is running in P7 with Chris Cagnezzi P8, Mark Musso is P9, John Boyd is P10. To give you the roundup in terms of who's leading in each particular class, if I may, Cooper McNeil, clearly, Trofeo Pirelli Pro driver, who incidentally has just lost a huge hunk of time. But anyway, Cooper McNeil is leading the Trofeo Pirelli Pros, Thomas Tipple is leading the Shells, Ross Schaust is the best Trofeo Pirelli AM driver, and the best of the Shell AM drivers, no surprise, is John Maygrue.
Yeah, and Ross Schaust, he was P2 in his class before the race. Rob Houts, P12 overall, 4th in class, so that will come together. Murray Rothlander, unfortunately, we already lost, so his chances, while maybe still theoretically alive for the last race, certainly took a big hit up there.
I just wonder whether, you know, he was too ambitious and too bold. I mean, the race isn't won in the first few hundred meters, but then it's easy for me to sit here with a microphone and say that. I'm not in the car having a go.
Yeah, and you just have to say that, I mean, Mark Musso, for example, one of the Pirelli drivers, he has experience here. But most of them haven't raced on this circuit, and certainly not extensively.
No.
And it's all nice to do qualifying, to do practice here when there is no car in front of you. But braking in a packed grid of cars into that first turn is something that I think with practice you become more aware of how suddenly that all comes together and how close it can become. And I mean, it's just a racing incident. It's unfortunately for Angie, it's unfortunately for Rothlander, but yeah, he certainly didn't back off enough at that very moment. Motivation's unsure. No,
he could have, as you say, he could have yielded, couldn't he? So let's pick up this battle as it continues then. And there you can see the 213 car of Mark Musso. Mark Musso is a very, very quick driver, although he is the last of the Trofeo Pirelli Pro drivers at the moment, because ahead of him this battle that is going on between Jean-Claude Sada and Chris Cagnazzi. And the gap between them, as you can see, is just a matter of tenths. The 219 car of Cagnazzi then chasing down Jean-Claude Sada. Cooper McNeil, well, his margin between himself and Thomas Tipple down to 9 tenths. But this is very, very close here. However, at the moment, Cagnazzi has not been able to find a way past Jean-Claude Sada. He's as close now as he's been for the entire race. Is he beginning to line up an opportunity, perhaps, going into the first chicane? So, will he dive to the inside here? But the inside quickly becomes the outside for the second part of the chicane. You've almost got to get the overtake done. Well, as if prompted by me, he does. He brakes. He just manages to get the car rotated and has put himself ahead of that 261 car of Jean-Claude Sada. That took almost half a lap for him to make that overtake work, Nico.
Absolutely, but it was a clean, it was a decisive move at the very right time. Sada yielded, gave the racing room, and he'll be looking to return the favor potentially a lap from now.
Who knows? So this is the battle for P2 at the moment between Benjamin Heights and Peter Ludwig, but it's the battle for P2 in the Trofeo Pirelli Pro class, because ahead of them is Thomas Tipple. Well, I just wonder whether there's some rain coming down now, because just looking at that car of Benjamin Heights, that looks very loose on the back end.
Looks like there may be raindrops on that camera shot, not on that one, but on the previous.
Cooper McNeil's got his wiper on. Now, you can begin to see wipers coming onto these cars now, so I wonder, it's really difficult to identify from our commentary position, which is right on the start-finish straight. But one thing for sure is if any of the damp stuff does come down in any meaningful measure, Nico, that really could change the shape of this race.
Absolutely, and it will be a matter of decision when to come in, early, not later, or maybe just try to slick it out, if you will, and just run through it.
You're a master of the English language, aren't you?
Thank you very much. As long as it doesn't come down too much, there may be a brave one who says, okay, I'm going to lose 2 or 3 seconds per lap. I can deal with that, as long as it's only 4, 5, 6 laps. And we have got light rain being indicated on our timing screen.
Here's a challenge going on, Nico, in these conditions. So as we head up to the chicane then, Benjamin Heights under pressure from Peter Ludwig now. Peter Ludwig trying to just upset the car of Benjamin Heights ahead of him. And whilst all that's going on, Thomas Tippel is beginning to slow as well, relative to the pace that he was showing with Cooper McNeil. There you can see the lap times being recorded by engineers and the raindrops on those recording devices. It's a little bit more than just a stopwatch, and you can see they're really having to tiptoe now, use opposite lock as they go into that chicane. The cars are beginning to break away, aren't they, in terms of their grip. The back ends are looking looser, and it's trying to tiptoe these cars round. It's like a box of eggs, isn't it? Well, it's nothing like a box of eggs, but it's eggshell-like, and if you just run offline there, you might just get a bit of advantage in terms of where you are on the track, but trying to hold the grip. And you can see there, as Peter Ludwig tried to put the power down, Nico, he was unable to control the car. So extraordinary. And the moment, Cooper McNeil, you can see his car looking pretty loose as well.
Looking out the window of our commentary box, the pit lane looks still very calm. No specific activity here.
Forgive me, we have got the 342 car off in the gravel, the car of Mark Fuller, and also involved in that, the car of Jeff Palermo. So, Jeff Palermo is okay, and also they've... we can see him replay here. Oh, look at that, a high-speed slide through the gravel for the 313 car of Jeff Palermo. And there you can see rally crossing through the gravel, and 3 or 4 cars get caught out there. And, well, you can see just trying to hold on to the car. Whoa!
Yeah, that was a close one. But the cars still stay out, as we can see, just coming past our commentary window. Again, there's not that much activity in the pit lane, so...
Oh, look at the... he just can't get traction off of that, forgive me, Nico. Thomas Tippel just gave it a footful of accelerator, and you can actually see the wheels spinning.
Yeah, these are very treacherous conditions now, and it's really, really interesting, and every driver has to manage those conditions, not be over-ambitious, not take too much out of the car, in terms of being too cautious either, of course, but it's very, very tricky. And you can see even now that the racing line is drier than everything.
Yes, I would agree with that.
So it's really, really important to stay on the racing line, and this is a very ambitious attempt around there. Oh,
all the way around the outside, nearly sideways. So, you know, basically, this is Peter Ludwig trying everything. Look at that, Nico. I mean, we've seen some Ferrari Challenge drivers in our long association with this championship take sometimes unorthodox lines. But what Peter Ludwig is trying to do here is just use the advantage of the slowing cars ahead of him, including Benjamin Heights, to try and roll the dice and do something a bit different. But to be fair to Benjamin Heights, he's looking clean and tidy, and he can't find a way past. I think you've spotted a car that's come into the pit lane. Could that be for wet weather tyres?
Oh, possibly. We've got the first car in the pits now, which is the 342 car of Fuller, who's dropping down the order now. But depending on what the rain does going forward, that could be a decisive move to his benefit. Oh, and look at that.
Oh, if he holds on to this.
Got it controlled, but I mean, through the parabolica. Oh, you can see, and when we look at the timing screens, the drivers are 11 seconds slower roundabout than at the beginning of the race. So just an impression of how much that weather has affected the speeds already. And there,
Thomas Tippel is under pressure now, isn't he? He'd done so well, but now Benjamin Heights on the inside will get past Thomas Tippel, I would think, relatively easily here. Tries to scrub the speed off. I did think that Peter Ludwig would try and dive to the inside there, but he didn't do it.
James Wayland into the pits, and we've got more drivers coming in.
There are the wet weather tyres.
Absolutely, and
Al Heggie, that is, isn't it?
yes,
Who's in for wets.
the top driver staying out, apart from James Wayland.
Here's James.
Yeah.
As you said, what's going on here is Cooper McNeil, Benjamin Heitz, Thomas Tipple, Peter Ludwig, also Cagnazzi and Jean-Claude Sarda. They're all staying out there in the hope that this is only a shower. We've got 15. We're at half race distance, aren't we?
Yeah, and I mean, if it continues to rain like that, we'll see what the wet weather tires can do in terms of a full lap.
Forgive me, it's Peter Ludwig who has tried so hard. Now, of course, the car ahead of him is Thomas Tipple rather than that car of Benjamin Heitz. And he's got the car sideways. And actually, the ferocity of the rain now is much greater than it was, isn't it? You can see the spray coming off those cars now. And let's bear that in mind for Peter Ludwig. Not only has he got to try and overtake the car ahead of him of Thomas Tipple, which he's trying to do, his visibility is compromised as well. But he's got the inside line here. He's done it. If he can hold on to the car, which he can. So after a number of laps of trying, he has put the car ahead.
And Benjamin Heitz, we could just see that in shot in the forefront, has closed the gap to Cooper McNeil. It's only 3/10 now.
Wow.
But I have to say, the way the rain came down this lap, I'd be surprised if the top drivers stay out. It's just, it looks
too wet,
very, very treacherous out there right now.
Frank Seldorf was the car that we saw come in. Race control have mandated that lights need to go on, and there is, exactly as Nico was saying, the gap that has really come down. Now, Cooper McNeil stays out, but Benjamin Heitz comes in. So Benjamin Heitz then has decided that it's just too damp to stay out there on these tyres. Cooper McNeil is still tiptoeing around. Now, Cooper McNeil is a super experienced driver. He's gone through the speed trap at 279 kilometers per hour on the wrong tyres.
Yeah. Look at that. That was Peter Ludwig, I think. And I'm surprised Ludwig stayed out because he needs to make up 30 points in the race. So for him, a different strategy, whatever that is, would be something that has the potential to close the gap. If he doesn't make up, then he's second in the championship. Forget about it. But for him, doing a different strategy would kind of be the thing to do.
It would be worth rolling the dice, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
This is the Heggie car being released into the pit lane now. Not the quickest release, it has to be said. I wonder if they were just holding the car because they don't want an unsafe release.
There was part of that light missing, and so race control was saying lights on, yeah, well, trying.
If only I could.
If only I could.
Big song by Sidney Youngblood in his day. Oh, and who's that now?
Peter Ludwig.
That is Peter Ludwig all over the grass. Look at the cooling vents at the front there, Nico. Absolutely full of debris now. That could mean that the car could be prone to overheating. But Peter Ludwig clearly perhaps ruining not coming in earlier.
Well, in hindsight, which is always 2020, but this,
yeah, of course.
I mean, he will have to come into the pits, if for nothing else than for removing some of those leaves in the cooling vents. Lost 3 seconds and change, and lost even more during that segment, 10 seconds or so.
So that basically means, of course, that Thomas Tipple is back up to P2 at the moment.
Absolutely.
So there's Cooper McNeil, our race leader. There is Thomas Tipple. And Thomas Tipple, I remind you, a Shell driver, not a Trofeo Pirelli Pro driver at all, doing a very, very good job out there. There's the car with half the light missing, which means that you can ask me to put the lights on, but I can't. There's the 323 car, which is driven, of course, by John Maygrue, who's leader of Shell Am at the moment.
And he could take the championship if everything stays like that in class. He was leading, and by virtue of him being in front, that might just be enough to take the championship on this race. But there is still 11 minutes and a treacherous track between that and now. So
a lot can still happen.
Absolutely.
So they're the 323 car. Then, as we were saying, of John Maygrue. Also in is the 338 car of Kevin Milstein. Released now. You can see the wheels spin away on the concrete of the garage's pit lane. And, well, the rain has not abated for the moment. Rain lights have got to be on, mandated now by race control. There is the 321 car of Thomas Tippel, and there the 211 car of Peter Ludwig, who remarkably still has not come into the pit lane. So still with the various vegetation in the cooling vents. He's still holding on to the car, but only just as the back end once again steps out, chasing down that Thomas Tippel car. He goes to the outside, then takes a look at the inside. Thomas Tippel gets a real whale tail on the back end of the car, and that's just what Peter Ludwig needed. It opened up the door and has allowed Peter Ludwig to perhaps get ahead. We just went away from that shot. Perescoia we were looking at there, and that's big damage, Nico, for the 219 car. That's Chris Cagnazzi. And that, I fear, will be a safety car without question.
Absolutely. And that's going to be, I mean, that could be, depending on how long that safety car lasts, could be a blessing for Cooper McNeil or the biggest curse.
Yes.
Because behind the safety car, yes, you will probably be able to get around that track with those tires. Then again, it closes up everything.
Yes.
Drivers who were 40 seconds behind. So, I mean, he will hope that that safety car stays out there until the checkered flag. Everyone else behind him on wets.
Oh, that was a big impact for the car of Chris Cagnazzi. Ferrari of Long Island just got it wrong. Unfortunately, lost grip and at a fair pace connected with the wall. Hope Chris is okay. Wet tyres standing by, and those wet tyres are standing by for the car of Rob Hodes in the 251 machine. He's on his way into the pit lane. There is the 219 car of Chris Cagnazzi then, and as I say, just hope that Chris Cagnazzi is perfectly okay. The safety car has managed to pick up and has done so. There, the 216 car of Frank Seldorf.
And we can see as the safety car waves a few back markers by. It will pick up the leader, and I think that's Cooper McNeil right like there in shot.
Yes, I agree with you.
And before that interruption, I was just looking at the timing screen. You could see that the drivers, as we'll continue that thought after this brief look into the challenge show.
bowing to information from my learned friend alongside me. I just questioned, with only 4.5 minutes or 4.75 minutes remaining, Nico, your 100 years experience in motorsport, do you, sorry, I'm being a bit disingenuous. Do you think they'll declare this race?
I hope not. I mean, the question is it going to be safe to restart it? I think every driver had the chance to go into the pits, and they still do. The pit lane is open. I mean, it's gonna be treacherous when they restart this with some on wets and some on dry weather tires.
And it could be a last lap dash, couldn't it? Because we've only got four and a bit minutes left now. Lights are still on the safety car, which would not indicate that the safety car is coming in this lap. Sadly, the shots we've seen have not indicated whether the car of Chris Cagnazzi has been recovered.
And in fairness, with the last lap behind the safety car taking like 3 minutes,
you're not going to get a lap, are you?
It would have to come in almost this lap with any chance. But I mean, they're still early in the lap, so they could still
There is time.
decide.
There is time, I agree.
But I think it's going to be one lap or none, and I know where Cooper McNeil's hope will be on that question.
You made the point that Cooper McNeil, in comparison, lost such a lot of time in the last in one sector alone.
Yeah, Benjamin Heights was before that incident in the second sector took 4.5 seconds out of Cooper McNeil, just indicating how much of a difference the wets made. And I think this is the place where that stricken Cagnazzi car is, on to the left of that shot. And
our director in our headphones is advising us that, don't know whether you've noticed, you two, but it's raining. Oh, okay, thanks, Franco. I think he was more referring to the fact that the rain is coming down properly now, isn't it?
yeah, I think so. And
I think this race is over. I'm sorry, buddy.
yeah, and there is the red flag, just as you called it. Yes, but well done, you.
Round of applause for Dave.
And that means Cooper McNeil is champion in the Trofeo Pirelli North America, not the way he would have wanted.
He'll be breathing a sigh of relief, I think.
Yes, absolutely. And it turned out that his and Peter Ludwig's choices to not come in were the right ones.
Yeah.
By the thread of...
Yeah, you're right. So the winner in the Trofeo Pirelli Pro race is going to be Cooper McNeil. The winner in the Shell is going to be Thomas Tipple. Trofeo Pirelli Am winner is going to be Ross Joust. And the winner of the Shell Am is going to be John McGrew, I think.
Yes, very likely. And John McGrew means that he also takes championship in Class Copper Shell Am. Congratulations, John McGrew. Was on 152 points, 23 points up, increases that margin with one race to go. That is decided. Ross Joust, meanwhile, leapfrogs Rob Holtz for the lead in the Trofeo Pirelli M. So, but that's going to be very close. Only a few points between them before the race. Will be a few points between them after the race.
They have one more race to do tomorrow.
And it's going to be the late one.
Yeah. Before they race again on Sunday, but that's out of the championship. That is merely for the honour of the Gold Roof, the World Championship.
I have to say, this was quite a dramatic race, not necessarily...
For the right reasons.
Certainly some great racecraft there, some strategy involved as well. Session suspended, obviously not necessarily the way we want a race to end, but I think we got our money's worth in terms of... precarious moments, sideways moments.
To be fair to those drivers, many of whom decided to stay with the slick tyres, their car control has to be admired. I mean, the 488 Challenge car is a formidable beast. No question about that. An awesome racing car. To try and control that on the wrong tyres here at Monza, which is phenomenally quick, you need to have a lot of bravery.
Well, yeah, you can see. It's not Cooper McNeil. I guess that could be John McGrew. I'm not.
I thought that was Thomas Tipple, to be honest.
That could be.
I thought it was Thomas Tipple.
That could be. I'm not 100% sure from the distance.
We're still atop the car. We can see from the pit lane here. Look, whoever it is.
And I think there to the right, in the white and black. Yeah, to your left now. Yeah, that I think could be Cooper McNeil.
You know it's Cooper McNeil. He's 7'8". I mean, he's massive, a huge guy. So cars coming into Parc Fermé then, and but there is Cooper MacNeil. As I said to you, he really is tall, and well, in fairness, I think I was right. I think it was Thomas Tipple that was atop his car first.
Well done you. Well done you. Good call.
There is Thomas Tipple, and being congratulated there by Cooper MacNeil. Well, congratulating each other, really, aren't they? So Cooper MacNeil then, the winner of the race, and not only that, he's done enough for the championship as well. Thomas gets his Pirelli baseball cap on. Sod the weather, is not worried.
No, not when you've won it.
No.
And, I mean, there is some elation in there as well. If not for positions in the championship, then just to have brought the car home safe in one piece. Because,
absolutely,
as you said, Sunday, it's a different race. It starts from zero, and you don't want to wreck your car a day or two before that. You want that to be in the prime condition that you brought it here.
Yes.
Well done you,
Mr.
sir.
MacNeil. What a star you are.
Number one there, now she got the helmet off. He's got a hat for you there if you want to wear it.
The hat comes on in a moment. And yeah, these are the weather conditions here. Come to Monza, it's sunny, it's always great.
Confirmation of the classification was the meteorologist takes a break. Cooper MacNeil, Peter Ludwig, Thomas Tipple, then it's Chaus, Jean-Claude Sada, Marc Museau, Boyd, Maigru, Hodes, and Kameneski then occupying the top 10 places. The mix of Pro, Trofeo Pirelli Pro, and AM drivers and Shell drivers as well.
Yeah, second page. Carell P11, Simon Wayland P13. He was one of those who went
came in,
to the pits, and he was caught out by that safety car phase. So, ironically, one of the drivers who didn't come in ruined it for those who did.
Yes, yes.
Talk about fate. Talk about racing luck. I mean, it's always when the weather changes mid-race, there is always some luck and some taking a chance or not taking a chance, either way, involved. But as you said, a lot of racecraft had to go into those who made it around this track.
I agree.
Safely.
And credit to them for that. Drivers will be heading off to the podium now as the rain continues to team down here at Monza. You've been watching the Ferrari Challenge North America race 1 of 2 this weekend, although there are 3 races because the world final race to come on Sunday, and weather conditions look really rather nasty now, don't they, Nico?
Yeah, you can see the podium up there over the pit wall. Very special position. Now, let's look at some of the highlights of this race.
There were many of them, and as the cars lined up, the Hublot safety car led them away. Cooper MacNeil having done a great job in qualifying, but it has to be highlights have to be mentioned. Thomas Tipple, who was the quickest of the Shell drivers, and actually put himself alongside Cooper MacNeil for the start of the race. But at the start, Cooper MacNeil stretching his legs to go into the first chicane, and Thomas Tipple maintaining that P2 position, with some 24 cars behind, all ready to do battle. Well, one battle saw a car airborne alongside the Angie car, and that was an absolute disaster for Murray Rocklander, whose car was significantly damaged, and it would be a retirement for Murray Rocklander and also for the car of Angie, which was the one that, as you can see here, he got airborne alongside. So they were close going into that chicane, but maybe it was just a chance too far for Murray Rocklander, and he paid the ultimate price. On the inside here was a classic example of how you can get it right, and that was Chris Cagnazzi, but bad luck was going to befall him a little later in the race. And as the rain began to come down, a number of drivers skirting across the tarmac, and sideways moments galore as they tried to hold on to the 488 cars in really very, very challenging conditions. And Peter Ludwig doing all he could to try and find his way past the 321 car of Thomas Tipple. And as you can see, at one point, having to take to the gravel, the grass, the Astro, the painted curbs and whatever else. I mentioned that, regrettably, it was going to be a hard time for Chris Cagnazzi. He made contact with the barriers. That brought out the safety car, and unfortunately, we would not get another racing lap following the safety car intervention. The race was red flagged. So there, 2 new champions crowned here at the Temple of Speed in Monza. And we'll be going up to that podium, which overlooks the track in just a couple of moments. So, here we can see the classification then. Cooper McNeil, Peter Ludwig, Jean-Claude Sarda. This is the Trofeo Pirelli Pro classification. The guys we're going to see on the podium, Cooper McNeil, Peter Ludwig, and Jean-Claude Sarda. Well done to Mark Musso, Benjamin Heitz, James Wayland, Chris Cagnazzi. Of course, we lost, and as we did Angie as well. Cooper McNeil, Peter Ludwig, Jean-Claude Sarda, the guys that we will be seeing up there on the Trofeo Pirelli Pro podium. And there the podium awaits, complete with cameramen under the cover of umbrellas to protect against this really rather nasty weather conditions. So the drivers literally just a couple of meters away from where we're broadcasting to you from are preparing to go out on the podium, but as you can imagine, they're choosing not to go out in the wet until they really have to. And wet it really is now. Mop and bucket standing by to clean the podium as well, Nico. It really has turned. In fairness, we've got away with a dry morning, haven't we? And we did know that this rain was predicted for this afternoon.
Yeah, well, what more can you ask when you go to Italy? Half a day of no rain is probably at best. We just understand that one of the drivers is not up on the podium or behind the podium or next to the podium, and probably refusing to go out into the rain. So that's why we have a little bit of a hold up in terms of the podium procedures starting. So we'll have beautiful shots of the people who have to be next to the podium. Our camera guy, our photographer, who are kind of a little bit deserted up there on that elevated stage.
Yes.
Can you not just feel the excitement of this weather?
No. I'm sorry, I'm not feeling that excitement.
Well, as a Brit, don't you think that feels like home?
No, I do not. I resent that remark when we've had such lovely weather conditions, and ironically, to my knowledge, back in the UK this weekend, it's going to be relatively nice. However, here, come to Italy.
I think that Monza qualifies as relatively nice in most parts of the UK, doesn't it?
Go away.
Sorry about that. Here's another
challenge.
Look at the challenge show.
Okay, here comes the podium then. I don't know how much time we'll have for all podiums, but we will bring you what we can before we run out of time. Here comes Cooper McNeil then to go on to the top step of the podium. It's a very impressive lineup of dancing there. Cooper McNeil, Peter Ludwig, and Jean-Claude Sarda.
I think they should give out umbrellas for trophies, but here's the anthem first of all.
the radio edit version of the national anthem plays out then for Cooper McNeil, Peter Ludwig, and Jean-Claude Sarda. And Sam Bird, I think that is, from this distance, if I've got that right, I'll be amazed. Hey, Ferrari official GT driver making the trophy presentation to Jean-Claude Sarda. Miguel Molina then, he's from Spain, and that's why he's so quick to get back inside. Makes the trophy presentation to Peter Ludwig. He's used to the sun. Tony Verlander, however, bad weather, not a problem to him, makes the trophy presentation to Cooper McNeil.
Well done, everybody.
That was Andrea Bertolini.
What was I saying about umbrellas rather than trophies? I think they would appreciate that.
And the Steve Rowe, who's the research and development product manager from Pirelli, making the trophy presentation there to Cooper McNeil as well. So everyone gets together for the photographs. And time for champagne, Cooper McNeil. And rather than spraying it, he just takes a slug. Fair enough. He's entitled. Wet enough already. And one racing driver that's very used to spraying the champagne, it has to be said. So, super slow-mo then of the race winner, Cooper McNeil, for Ferrari of Beverly Hills. And drivers about to make their way off the podium. Whether we will have time to bring you the other podiums on air, I'm not sure. Because there are actually some 4 podiums, because there's the podium for Trofeo Pirelli Pro, and then for Pirelli Am, which is the podium that's being readied now, which will see Schaust, Boyd and Hodez on the podiums. But then, of course, there are the Copa-Shell podiums to come as well. All the information at races.ferrari.com. So this is a Trofeo Pirelli Pro podium done and dusted, and now we're with the Trofeo Pirelli podium. Ferrari Palm Beach going to be represented on the podium as well. So the anthem plays out, and we call upon our official Ferrari GT drivers once again to make the trophy presentation. Sam Bird then makes the trophy presentation to Rob Hodez. Then it is Miguel Molina that makes the trophy presentation to John Boyd. And Tony Verlander then to Ross Schaust on the top step of the podium, and Andrea Bertolini also making a presentation as well to the team. And there once again is Steve Rowe from Pirelli Motorsport to make the Pirelli trophy presentation. So, drivers and team all get together for the photographs. Even I heard that. One photographer making sure that he gets the shot that he wanted. So both the Trofeo Pirelli podium presentations done and dusted. So the podium for Trofeo Pirelli, both Pro and AMS, done and dusted in shocking weather conditions. For Shell, as you can see, it's going to be Thomas Tippel, Kamenetsky, and Carroll that we will see on the podium. And for Shell AM, it'll be John Maygru, Brian Simon, and Theodore Giovannis. So the driver's heading up to the podium, and hands shaked. So Thomas Tippel then on the top step of the podium. And then it is... Thomas Tippel hasn't even received his trophy yet. And he's spraying the champagne. Sam Bird did his level best to the official Ferrari GT driver to avoid the soaking of the champagne. Miguel Molina tries to do the same as... P3 and P2 are presented, and there is Tony Verlander, who's got his hood up ready in case the champagne was going again from Thomas Tippel. No one told me I had to wait for the champagne. Tag with it. I'm going for it, says Thomas. So they get together for the photographs now. Chris Carell and Brian Kamenetsky then let loose with the champagne and super slow-mo of the Thomas Tippel car then, the winner in that Copa Shell race. So Thomas Tippel going with the champagne early. Confirmation of the classification then. This is for Shell AM, John Maygru, then Simon and Giovannis, then the 1, 2, 3 that we will be seeing on the podium. So the drivers are waiting, being called out onto the podium. Come on, chaps. And Ferrari of Long Island going to be represented as well. So the anthem plays out. John Maygru on the top step of the podium. Brian Simon then, P2. And Theodore Giovannis, P3. Sam Bird then presents his trophy to Theodore. And then Brian receives his. And here comes the trophy for John Maygru. from Tony Verlander, who incidentally will be joining us on the air over the course of the weekend as well. Always a welcome guest into the commentary studio is Tony Verlander. So all the drivers and the team, of course, all onto the top step of the podium. Those podiums all done and dusted. So John McGrew then, who goes after the champagne, and it is sprayed. Thank you so much for watching Ferrari Challenge North America. Bye-bye for now.